actually a lot of the hoys that I have recently that have been flowering, I just put them outside because I really want something to pollinate them. So you can see there's actually a carry that's
oh yeah. Well, it's probably better that it's out there because it probably drips like crazy.
Oh my God, it literally is like honey. Just actually the first one that I've had where it just is straight up sugar and like brown sugar.
Yeah.
Like my lacunoses have bloomed and they smell like almost jasmine, like very like airy and like nice. And this one just makes me want pancakes.
Pancakes with syrup.
With syrup.
And like butter and like blueberry jelly and like everything else.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by our partners over at Espoma. Now, they have been developing organic gardening products as a family-owned and operated business for over 4 generations and have a range of solid products for both indoor and outdoor gardeners alike. I personally love the ease of their liquid fertilizers for indoor plants and have been using their Biotone outdoors in our garden beds at our new communal space upstate. You can check out their whole range of products over at espoma.com.
Got you. All right, so the AC just went. You can't tell, but it's Spaville here. But this is great. Tell me something a little interesting about yourself. You've already been kind of chatting with me and telling me something interesting.
I'm very big on what I've made up, probably called like plant memory. Like there's music memory. You listen to a song and you remember like, you know, good times. For me, I look at a plant and I'm like, oh, Monstera Peru. Like I did Habitat for Humanity when I was in college, and you know, it was cool to like walk through the jungle or whatever it is. So a lot of the plants that I have actually have either a connection to a place that I've been to, or maybe a trade with someone, a friend. A lot of the art as well, and even the pottery are made by friends. My plant background is very much community-based, but I didn't know it was that. It was very much like sustainability, community-focused, and definitely based off travels and, you know, places I've been to.
Well, I think what's interesting is that like when we think about cultures that have had gardening, you know, through time, and if you've traveled to a lot of places, you probably see that people in agriculture or people in gardening or forest gardening has been a thing, and they have it like linked to their cosmology and really deeply linked to their culture. And I think for those of us who are in like kind of like quote unquote like new societies that may have not had that maybe background, you know, we're creating and crafting stories for ourselves in order to be able to place emphasis and in the plants that we have, and the fact that you're like, oh, I did Habitat Humanity for Peru, and this one has some roots in Peru. Like you're making those connections for yourself, which is really lovely to see.
And I think it just makes me happy because traveling, honestly, is what is like the one thing that keeps me like super excited, because you never know what's going to happen. Like the unknown is like amazing to me, which is just kind of like thinking about the areas they come from, appreciating that, oh, this is something from nature that has lived and survived, and like now is a part of my life, is like very exciting. It like reminds me like this is why I love nature, why I love traveling, and it relaxes me because I live in New York. I work in a stressful digital tech job, and it takes me back to those places that I enjoy.
And this is a relatively new place for you, so I'm assuming that you brought your plants in here and you have these setups which look exquisite and wonderful against these like backdrops that you were saying was upcycled in it essentially.
Yeah. So the building is very unique. It's the first of its kind that's fully solar paneled within Brooklyn as a home. And then for us, we're just trying to use a lot of like LED grow lights that are energy efficient.
Yeah, you are Soltech out.
Yeah, so Soltech.
That's not a verb, but I just made it.
We just made it up, yeah. It's been great. I had to kind of rewire a few things, but it wasn't difficult. And it's great now because, you know, it's warm light that makes me just feel like I'm not in a fluorescent building that's like super like
Well, it mimics
crazy.
the sun to a certain extent, right? So you feel as if you have like 50 suns around you.
Yeah.
I have some plants where they don't know any better and they go up and they get a little burned. Yeah. So
there was a little bit of that when we were kind of like trying to understand like this giant Jose Bono. I was like, do you want light? And it like was like, no more, like burn this leaf. So it's part of like the learning process, you know?
I'd imagine even on some of this concrete, because it's like porous, there's going to be some things that start to cling on that.
So that's the goal. You'll see a few when we go on this side.
Yeah.
So I'm actually trying, a friend of mine that's local, and a lot of my plants I actually try to get local first before
Who needs
getting
roses when you have a glass vase of Monstera?
Exactly. So they're actually moving, and they're like, do you want a top cut of my giant Monstera? And I was like, that's great, because I actually would love to have it climb here. This will be like eventually a Monstera wall.
Yeah.
We're letting it obviously acclimate a little bit. And it's funny because right behind this is the elevator, and you wouldn't know it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you probably don't even hear it, do you?
Don't hear. I like don't hear anything, but it's great because
like a pretty veritable wall. So.
Yeah, and there's some stuff that started already climbing on the other side as well. So it's gonna be pretty. I think it's gonna look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Once things start to grow out a little bit more.
Well, you have like a lot of your aroids here. Do you categorize them, or did you say, okay, this just looks good where it is?
So I do this thing where I try not to shock the plant and moving it into indirect light. So some of the plants that I know will do well in not exactly the brightest light. And then essentially for me, this is like, you cannot tell it, but it's kind of like the moody. I use this word a lot to describe like plants and stuff. And Vivian Cielo-Liage actually made this for me.
Oh, that's pretty.
And I actually described it, I was like, I want moody colors. And she's like, what is that? And I'm like, kind of like a dark green, or like this Scindapsus tribia.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the moody side.
Some would say goth. Goth. It depends. It depends on like what your flair is. You know?
I say moody because I try to embrace the anxiety that the world has given us this year.
All the weathers and all the seasons of the world.
Yeah. So a lot of them are just kind of like the favorites and the trailing.
You have a variegated ZZ, which is, by the way, I only mention it because I guess my one went variegated and went all yellow.
Oh my gosh.
The whole thing, and it went twice, and I just caught it now in time, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take some leaf cuttings.
There's actually one that was all yellow that is dying in the back.
Okay, yeah,
so
it doesn't last that long.
So again, this is like...
So on one side,
do you see this?
Yeah.
It's just all yellow.
Yeah.
So,
See, I'm gonna try to take some leaf cuttings, but like, that's where mine was like, but then the rest were not brown yet. And I was like, let's just try it, but it may not work.
This one's giant, and I could actually probably...
I like this. This is more like minty colored.
Yeah, this one's like minty.
Whereas that one's like more Aurea,
She's kind of like doing what she wants.
Yeah.
But I feel like one day I'm just gonna hear a loud noise and it's gonna fall over because it's so large now.
Yeah.
But...
because it's the tubers are coming right out too.
She wants a bigger...
She's like pointing... Look at the patterns on this.
Yeah.
It's actually it's beautiful.
Like compared to like the Raven, like...
Beautiful new growth.
And like, it's a beautiful plant that's like very easy to take care of.
Yeah.
So for at least this area, it's very much kind of like the moody goth plants. But yeah. So,
oh my God, Miso running like a crazy cat.
Oh yeah, you can give them some snacks later and they'll fall in love. But yeah, and same with this area. This is a lot of the art actually, and like, the pots too are made by friends. Like one of my best friends just created this. Some girls that I work with created some more advocacy related.
I love it. It's an amalgamation of all your little hobbies and passions and people in your life.
This one is like more of the women in my life kind of a thing. Like it's the literal only picture I have probably in this apartment is my mom and I on the beach like when I was little. There might be others. One day we'll put some up of the cats, but and then, just like fun. This one's like more of like the silvery splashy ones. There isn't really a rhyme or reason besides the fact that I thought they looked good together.
Yeah.
So we have like some little baby ties and obviously I'm a little bit obsessed with Jose.
Is this some type of Scindapsus? That's
so,
like a weird
this is actually so unique. So they were not sure what it was. It was probably sold as a lucens or a platinum, but it's kind of trying to be a silver lady. It's doing something crazy.
Right, but it looks like it's just taken down like a notch on the green, you know what I mean? Because even silver lady, I feel like has darker green spots.
Yeah, so a lot of the silver ones are here, some big ones, and I think you could see like a lot of the bigger plants I put up because I want them to not get lanky and try to reach.
Yeah.
And although the lights are not directly pointed at them, I think it's been good for them because they're not getting lanky. And then I'll say that we can kind of go through the favorites of the moment. And
is this like your little IKEA shelf? Is this IKEA shelf or is it somewhere?
So it is an IKEA shelf. I, like most people, am just obsessed with Hoyas.
Yeah.
So these are kind of like my favorite little babies. There's
looks like a Hoya polyneura, but it like with splash on it or something.
So look
or
at
silver
this.
Maybe.
Once I started pushing or putting the Soltech light to it, it just wanted to become a splashy.
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with growing things from nodes and like trying to create little plants, because once you have too many big plants, you're like,
I'm telling you, like I'm like in the mature era, so it gets harder and harder, because once you have big mature plants, you have less room.
Exactly. And I think that's why this exists, because I'm like, okay, here's like a little, you know, Adansonii, like variegated Adansonii node that I was like, let me play around with like the mediums that it's in. And then it's also here to like keep me humble, because they're so difficult to actually like maintain. Like you can see this one is just, she wants to be all white.
Yeah, all the variegated ones.
Is literally just like, and I'm just.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah. So it keeps me humble, because I'm like, this is normal. Like it's normal to have plants that aren't perfect, especially if they want to literally
they may be
kill themselves.
Perfect for like one day.
Yeah, and then you take a picture and then you're like, oh. It's so cute. Oh, someone's coming out. She's ready. And then in this area, so a lot of these ones are my favorite philodendrons and a few monsteras. Is this a Cebu blue, but like...
Yes. Yeah, that's
nice. I think this is probably one of...
The fenestrations are kind of cool, because it's like on one side, it reminds me of a chicken's comb, but that's how I'm programmed.
It literally, I'm like, you are art. Like, this is why nature is gorgeous, because it like knows it only wants to be on one side.
Yeah.
So Cebu blues are from the Philippines, so this is one where I'm like, the plant of my people. And I have quite a bit. So this one I actually found locally, which is amazing. Obviously a little bit more mature. It's fenestrating. It's gorgeous. I'm playing around with just pon. I'm trying to go a little soilless for a few things, because you know, David started vacuuming every day when I'm repotting stuff.
When he accidentally knocks one over trying to go for the books.
Yeah, and he's like, no,
not again.
And that's actually part of why we have a second bathroom. He's like, could there just be one sink that does not have any soil in it? And I was like, oh,
that's why he looked like so beach swept when he came in, and you're like, don't worry, he was just vacuuming. Yeah. He was like, you don't understand the amount of severity in that whole statement.
And I was like, so this part is actually, everything here is like probably a story, and I won't go too much into it.
Well, tell me about the philodendron pink princess, because it looks like you're doing some layering there, and you have it's growing up. And,
So this is a mature pink princess. It was probably actually the first like larger mature plant I had. A little bit disappointed in myself because I neglected her, and you could tell because she was mature. Like the leaves are coming out of, you know, not the petiolar sheath, but their own little kind of leaf sheaths. And then she right here reverted to juvenile. So meaning that, you know, she started kind of coming out of there again. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm air layering it. I'm letting her climb a little bit, because I think that'll keep her like a little bit happier. And then I'm going to cut it so then it can kind of hopefully grow a faster growth back to mature. Because I will say that in my old apartment, it was so large. Like it was 10 different plants in one, and they're all kind of separated across the apartment now. I just was like, I want to give you love, but I literally can't, because I don't have the space or the light to for you. This mican, so I'm obsessed with finding micans in the wild, because they're literally like the size of your chest.
Right, and they look so different.
Yeah. I grew up going to Hawaii just because I used to live in LA, and it was like,
it's so easy to just jump over.
The closest tropical place to go to. So I would go there a lot, and I would see these just like all over the place, and I was just like, what? Like what? And then when I saw that this was for sale, like in a local plant store, I was like, that's not the same thing. Like I don't think you guys know.
Is that a gigas as well?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Isn't it like? It's actually a dream. I thought for a long time that they just looked exactly like the Milano.
Yeah.
And then actually a friend in Hawaii, his broke, so he actually sent me a cutting. And I was like, oh my God, no, they're not the same.
Yeah.
You know, that's when your like crazy plant person comes out and you're like, they're not the same, like this one's thicker, whatever. My friends like a year ago asked me if I wanted to help them start like a NYC plant community page. Now I run the NYC plant community page. So there's a lot of like trading and sales and stuff that happens there, which is great, because I always tell people, if you're like trying to find a plant, like find it locally first. Like you should not be creating a carbon footprint for a plant that it's literally nature, but you're kind of killing nature to get it. So I always feel a little bit guilty whenever I get like plant shipped to me.
I also I'm starting to feel, because the plant smuggling has increased so dramatically, and it's harder to have a relationship with, I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but it's really hard to have a relationship with, like, we could go to a nursery here in the United States and film there and get a sense of the place. They know, they have a nursery license. It's really hard to understand, what's happening even across the country, and I think more people are even importing plants in than typical. So that started to make me feel a little bit, I mean, we're also in the transition phase where I'm like between two places, and I'm like, I don't want to have any more plants, because it's at this stage. But like that other element of like knowing that plant smuggling, not necessarily knowing where things are coming from, people going out for the rare, it does spur kind of an evil side, I guess, a darker
100%.
side.
And like, I'm not perfect in that I've totally bought plants to get shipped for me from like Florida. Like, like I did that a lot. When I was stressed, I'd be like, I'm gonna need a plant. But now
Florida's different. It's so different though, because most of our nursery trade comes from Florida.
So
that's where our like core center of like nursery is. But and actually like this country isn't even like the worst. Like a lot of things are happening in Europe. A lot of things are happening in Asia, actually, believe it or not, like where plants are being shipped. But it's an interesting thing. It's something that I think we, as plant lovers, we have to evolve and assess ourselves as we grow with our plants.
And I think it's something, and it honestly, it was one of those things that's kind of like a wake up call too, where you're like, no, this is a love for nature, right? This is a love for plant collecting.
Right, you're reminding yourself, but why am I doing this in the first place? And you almost have to return to that again and again and again. Yeah.
And I think there's part of me too where for a while I was only collecting variegated plants, because I was like, in nature, these plants were not going to survive. Like, variegation is a weakness. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that a lot of these plants will be cultivated.
And it's your weakness too.
Yeah, it is my weakness.
Variegated plants. Oh, I'm melting.
And it's definitely like one of those things where I'm like, okay, this is cultivated. No one ripped this out from a tree because it would have never survived. So there's kind of like its own filter there. But now that, people genuinely want to get to like the next best thing or the coolest thing or whatever, and it's like, okay, take a step back. Where is it coming from? Is it like a reputable, nursery? Where is this coming from? Is it sustainably sourced? It's like, oh, this was grown here, etc. Yeah, and then
is this like some mojito one, or like?
Oh, so this is it's a Paraíso Verde, so green paradise in Spanish. So yeah, it's like a cultivator. Someone cultivated it from like crossing specific plants, but it's gorgeous. It does look like a mojito in a bit. You can actually play around with it, and this was in more light and it's darker, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is different. Yeah,
right. It's kind of like the opposite.
Although it probably was predefined. By, what was on their petiole beforehand, and it was just like, I can't help it. I was greener on the.
So she's minty and gorgeous. Yeah. Some Milanos. I have a variegated Peru, which is like probably my favorite.
That one leaf is thing. Is really flaunting it right there.
Yeah. There was actually a few leaves that were all yellow, which they just die off because it's like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But here's kind of like a middle ground of, it's like yellow and green.
And what do you have here growing up? Is this some kind of Rhaphidophora or what?
So this is actually a green form, Monstera dubia, that's endemic to Costa Rica.
Okay.
So I actually saw these all over the place. They get like crazy big and fenestrated. But yeah, so that one's like, another, reminds me of Costa Rica. This one reminds me of getting bit by bugs in Peru, but that's cool.
And then this reminds you of like a plant bar.
Yeah, a plant bar. This reminds me of my life where all the bars go. Yeah, so it was funny because we're like,
this is what I did when I wasn't traveling.
Exactly. But yeah, and then so just kind of to talk about our Cebu blue that we were saying.
Oh yeah, here, and you're starting to see a little bit of the.
So I was like, how long does it take?
Happening.
I was like, how long will this take? And so I got this one, put it on some poles, and now it's getting there.
Yeah, it's funny. It looks like it's flecking, but I think maybe that's where this hole is gonna come, where it's like having cellular die-off right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have like a little aquarium over here. Oh, and you have one of those like
Madagascar lace plant.
Yeah.
This is like probably the reason why I have Dang,
Yeah, I really like it because it reminds me of the aquatic version of a monstera in the sense that it's one of those few plants that actually has that cellular die-off and then creates this like really lacy effect. To me, it almost looks like when you have those leaf skeletonizers. I don't know if you've ever seen them outside where they skeletonize the leaf and they leave the veins. Kind of reminds me a little bit of
it's
that.
gorgeous. And like, again, there's another world of tropical, like desert even related plants like in Africa. I like recently have gone into some cacti that's from like South Africa, which is a whole, like once you open up that world, it's like it gets crazy.
I feel that way too. Sometimes I look at one specific genus and I go dive deep into it, but then it's like endless.
No,
it's totally
it keeps
endless.
going. So it's funny because everybody was like, oh, like I use my tank water to water my plants. And
fertilize or something,
what? And then now I'm like over here, I'm like, oh my God, no, like it's really fast. Like look at this cutting. It's, rooting really quickly.
And then look at this Stanleyana right here. It's huge.
It's the leaning tower of Stanleyana. Like it just doesn't it will never stay anymore.
Yeah.
Like whenever you see pictures on Instagram and everyone's poles are upright, I'm like, what? I'm like, how do you do it? Because everything I have not everything, but this one is, she's, an older, she's a beast. She's lovely, but she is like 5 different plants and she just falls over. I don't know if I want to deal with it.
And is that some one of those dragon ones?
Yeah, so that's a golden dragon. Yeah. I have another giant one up here.
Yeah, I saw that. It had a really neat variegation. Yeah. Similar, right? I guess they're the same maybe.
Yeah, they're the same plant. Yeah. When you like something, there's 3 versions of it in the apartment, as you will see.
I like to separate certain things because if one doesn't go the route that you would had hoped, you always have some kind of backup. Yeah. And then you actually have a variegated Patera aquatica. This is not. I have the splashy one, but this one.
This is the Aurea version. I actually also found this locally. You can find anything locally if you try hard enough.
Yeah.
I actually have the splashy version, but David was actually putting the Soltech light up and dropped it on it, so it's very sad. Sorry, David, I was like, who's David? Why is he trying to kill all of your plants?
That's why he's out behind the glass. We're watching him behind the glass.
Hello. That
little zoo boy out there.
But this one's great because, like most, yellow variegated stuff, it's like super cute when it comes out, and then it just kind of hardens. And you're like, oh, it's so cute, but
you're like, it might look a little sick. I don't know.
And then
this like a regular carnosa.
So it has a great story. So Hoya lover found out that in like the 80s and in the 50s there was like, houseplants kind of every 30 years there's like a new version. Yeah. So somebody was like, oh yeah, like I have this like super old like carnosa, and I was like, I must have it because mine does not look like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is gorgeous. I love it. Like, who do I get this from? Mm-hmm. And I actually kind of posted that. I was like, I think it was on my Instagram. I had posted like a story about like how I got into Hoyas because, a lot of them are like from the Philippines, this and that. And someone actually commented and was like, oh, I have an old Hoya carnosa and I'm in Greenpoint. And at the time I was in Williamsburg and I was like, no way. And she actually told me that this is probably the 8th offspring of this plant. But her grandmother, when she moved here from Italy, took only her carnosa. It's a common Hoya, but I'm like, literally, it's like a lineage of plant lovers.
Yeah. So where should we go next?
So we could do the plant room next.
Okay. There is a designated plant room here.
There is a designated plant room.
She warned us about it.
We call it the hobby room.
Wait, then why is the alcohol not in here? Just kidding.
Because it's just a way of life. It just goes out in the living room. No, I'm just kidding.
It seems like
plant room.
Dave's hobbies have been really pushed to the corner, though.
So the chores he had growing up as a kid, as he was actually in charge of watering. Like he got paid $10 a week to water the plants in the home. So he actually will partake in the plants. But yeah, so his hobbies are, We're both music lovers. Like a lot of the signed records are mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is like a plant room jungle. So during the pandemic, I was actually furloughed for about a month and a half. And this was like during like BLM, like all this stuff was happening. So I started actually propagating my plants and auctioning them to donate to a lot of these organizations because I was like scared of physically going outside.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like be part of, you know, like I wanted to go rally, but physically like could not leave my apartment.
Right.
So my way to give back was to like propagate and to kind of donate that.
And is that Planting for Progress?
That is Planting for Progress.
Right on.
And there's a bunch of friends from Brooklyn too. A lot of friends actually that you've talked to, like Fiona, Paul, Phoebe, Vivian are all
Planting for Progress people.
They're all Planting for Progress people.
Yeah.
What they do with me is we essentially will, you know, get some plants. Usually I donate like about a third of the plants. I just propagate them for my own. Or we'll reach out to like local plant stores and shops like Planted by Christy. You want to has donated some, and we'll auction them for a lot of different organizations. We do anything that has to kind of whatever our community is passionate about. So we will talk about this side later because it's a whole nother beast. But definitely a lot of the ones I've propagated from. There's these monsteras. So there's that monstera on the ground here. She's rooting and she needs her own place. This monstera as well I've propagated from. People love monstera albos, so those are kind of the ones that I try to always have them ready to go.
Yeah.
As you can see, I have like about 1 million of them. So I think that's one that I really love. And then Hoyas, people love Hoyas, so I've propagated from. This is actually stressful for me.
It is like such a stacked shelf. And you know, and Hoyas, because I just had to move some of my Hoyas because they had to check the electricity in the house, and it's like my electrical box is like here. It's like behind here, something like this, and all the Hoyas are like tendrilled on one another, and I'm like this might take a while.
It's funny because it's just like a random shelf that I was like I like it because it actually is like tearing down.
Yeah, and it's flat against the wall.
Yeah,
and it feels like it doesn't take too much space.
But a lot of these have been propagated as well and donated or auctioned off. It's funny, so this is very temporary actually. It's a Matilda, yes. And a lot of these are actually grown from like single leaf cuttings. So they're now popping off. There's some that are crazy big, like this sprinkles. I don't know what happened to it. Just one day was this big. The Snow Queen.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's wrapped like 4 different times.
Yeah.
I should let her go free. But yeah, so this is very temporary actually because I'm planning on doing another little shelf thing, and I'm actually turning it into like the orchid section.
Interesting.
So
okay.
I want to start mounting like orchids or dischidias and stuff like that. So there's actually like a few here, but the way that the wall is designed is they actually pre-created screws.
I was gonna say it almost like looks like it could be a rock climbing wall.
No,
if you
it
really
could be. It could
if you really
be.
wanted it to. Look at there's a ladybug in here. Did you bring that in?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I have pests are a part of life, but I try to be proactive as much as possible.
Yeah,
It's
so hard to keep looking good.
Doesn't look that great.
I know it's tough.
It's trying.
A really tough plant. It's really tough.
Yeah, the begonias are a new thing. They happened this year.
Oh, okay. So
I used to
newbies.
kill all begonias, and I'm like, okay, if I put rocks here, if I do this.
They're really good for cutting back, like just chopping them, you know, like because I was a little shocked when we were in Logi's greenhouse, and he's like, don't get scared. He took like scissors and was like, I was like, oh my God. But actually they come back like stronger when you cut them off. So is that a clarinarium?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is probably like my favorite anthurium that I have right now. So she's flowering. She is also likely fruiting as well.
Yeah.
She's been pollinated. So
who you've been fooling around with, huh?
So I actually saved old pollen.
Yeah.
And put it in the fridge because that's normal, and then I put it on here. And
I think because that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal, right? David's like, "What is this empty bottle?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's not empty. There's pollen there. It's for babies." So she's like She's the first one where I was like, I could maybe continue collecting anthuriums because she's just been so...
Well, it seems like you did.
I went, but this is very new because I went and accepted once, you go to like a cloud forest in Costa Rica. Like it's not, you need to enclose it. Yeah. You can't just have it out. But this one actually has been in like 50% humidity at my old apartment and it's been really great. So she, I think, is like the magical one. But yeah, she's gonna have little babies. And I hope to maybe like grow them. I'm going through a phase of...
It's planting for progress material right there.
Yeah, there's some cute ones. I actually have seeds that are growing over there. I can show you a little bit.
Yeah, I'd love to see.
Yeah, so this one's like my favorite. So yeah, everything that's up here are like the ones that are too big. Oops.
That's like, no, David!
He's gonna hate me later, but that's just a part of life. It's actually not a good day unless there's dirt that has to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually a rule. And that's...
You're like, you're not a plant person unless you have a shelf like this. You're not a plant person unless you have soil on the ground.
So a lot of these are like the monsteras. So this one's I feel really bad because it was climbing on the wall and I moved a shelf.
Oh, and it had to move.
So, but I want to show you like literally... This is why I love monsteras, because they just kind of do their thing.
It kind of sometimes makes me upset, though, that they put them on those boards, and you're like, I can't get
it
them
off.
Yeah.
So I was like, So I actually had it stuck to the wall. You might be able to...
Yeah.
So I'm rearranging, but she will...
Oh, that's so fuzzy. It's like the...
Yeah.
It's like deer antlers or whatever.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's like very strong. So, we got some climbers in here.
It's nice to see that these are doing so well, because... sometimes the ones with the splotches or whatever, I find that there's like slower growers and you're just kind of, but it's humid in this room. You have your humidifier going, so.
It's 78 right now.
It's pretty.
We're in a sauna.
I'm feeling it. Good thing I didn't wear my sweater today.
It's a little hot in here, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think she's just been super happy. Another one here because I'm literally obsessed.
Yeah.
So here's one that is not on a board, but on a pole. A lot of these I think are like the favorites, are people's favorites right now, and obviously my favorites as well.
Strawberry shake?
Yeah, so the strawberry shake, she's doing very well right under the light. I have a chalice. No, I'm kidding. I literally have nodes like under, just going everywhere, just for fun, because babies are
These
also
it looks like you're growing like lots of different kinds of
things
in here.
So the sphagnum moss comes back to life.
Yeah.
So it's...
But this is not the sphagnum moss.
It comes in the sphagnum moss from New Zealand because it's all over.
Oh.
I have some anthuriums here too that it's growing out of it.
Because I have mine in my biopod and it was brown but it went green. But it doesn't grow like that.
Oh yeah, so all of mine have it and I don't know. I'm gonna my goal is to collect it, put it in a little biosphere and just see what it turns into. Because we're all about experimenting here and seeing what's happening. This one's like a favorite that she struggles to stay perfect because of the yellow and the white.
Yeah.
She actually had a leaf that was all yellow and white that just burned really fast, but she's still pretty. Yeah, so I think that's also kind of the important thing is it's never gonna look perfect. That's just life.
Well, there's a lot of lessons in there. I always try to remind people that it's not about how many or the rarity or whatever. It's you always have to come back to say what brings me joy, and if it starts to not bring you joy, if it starts to feel too much at that point in your life stage or whatever it might be, then you just come back to okay, what is joyful for me? Why am I doing this?
And just optimize. But yeah, so
how do you get back into these shelves? Do you have any solutions for us, or do you just have to take down one
There
at a
is an
time?
Organization to this, which you cannot see, but it's
tell me about
Hoyas
it.
and cuttings, and then it's philodendrons and philodendron cuttings, and then stuff. Which is all
the stuff to do the cuttings.
Yeah, all the cuttings, all the plant tarps.
And then you have
soil.
here some water propagation, I guess, happening, right?
So hashtag always propagating.
Yeah.
So I'm
that's one of the things that I do less of because I don't. Well, one, I'm not there as much anymore, but two, I just feel it's space. It's space issues. Yeah.
I mean, or you need to have a little corner that looks like this.
You do. You have to.
There's no rhyme or reason. It's whatever has space.
Yeah.
I usually put them in
you're
the rooting.
You all love each other.
Yeah, in the rooting phase. Actually, you could probably tell me about this. Someone told me that if you put pieces of roots into water.
It might be because of maybe there's some kind of chemistry in there, and like rooting hormone, you know, that somehow gets in there. Like I've actually even heard, nor can I actually say this to be true, but one of those old, you know, folk ideas is that you put the seed in your mouth before you plant it, right? And then
your spit has a certain
and also that it would say, oh, you lack this certain nutrient or mineral, put that in there, and then it'll grow to make, I don't know if that's to be true, but, you know, there could be some reasoning behind there that we don't know, that science would never take the time or the effort or the money to actually study that. Take me through some of the stuff you have in here.
Okay,
point something out. Is this a work item or?
Yeah, it is. So I have a couple. So those are the ones that I was like, I must figure you out because you're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're being figured out. Yeah. It's always a learning process. But yeah, so anthuriums are kind of a favorite of mine just because, you know, they come from like parts of Mexico and Central America and like Latin America. Technically, I'm very fluent in Spanish. So every year I would travel to a Spanish speaking country to like just practice it. There were moments where I was going to Barcelona, like every other year for like primavera and like paella. But besides the point, now we're kind of going back to South America. So a lot of these just remind me of, again, parts of, you know, Latin America I can travel to. Yeah. My favorite right now, I'm going through a phase where I'm going through like a red
bottom phase?
A red bottom phase, yes. And a lot of my favorites.
It's like when girls usually talk about red bottoms, like we're thinking about like the shoes, but here we're talking about plants.
We're talking about plants. Like this is a beautiful, it's a dark.
So it's red, red, just so like the early,
so Dr. Block, who's like very well known for his anthurium, you know.
Down in Florida.
Yeah. This is a clone from one of his. So it's a crystal mag cross. And I'm going through a phase where I want all of my anthuriums to eventually flower so I can create, you know, little seedlings just because it's so fun to grow things from seeds, to like really understand like this is where life comes from, people. It's wild. So
you're gonna need more space, Agatha. I'm sorry to say.
It's like, so this actually you can't tell.
You are doing a lot of efficient use of space, but then it can get like a little like overwhelming.
You can't tell, but all of these plants were actually on one shelf and I just filled them to make it look more full. But I'm gonna put them back when you're gone and then I'm gonna move this.
And then what was on those empty shelves?
There was nothing there. It's the possibility of what could be. It's to remind us that there's more that could be done.
There's still some room.
I actually read this article that was like, people that have books but haven't read them are more likely to like want more out of life. I don't know how they measure that because there's things that could be done.
Oh my gosh, that's
I'm like
so funny.
that, but with a shelf.
Oh my
like
gosh.
An empty shelf. I'm like, there are more plants.
I'm kind of that though with books. Like the amount of like I go through books. Like Sandra will be like, if I get another one sent to Flock Finger Lakes, he's like, oh god, and another book. I'm like, I go through books like water.
Which is great because that's like, you know, you learning and I think that's for me with a plant too. As like cheesy as it sounds, I'm like, yes, this is an anthurium, but it has a very different care than this other anthurium.
I think I spied your Pachira aquatica.
Okay, sorry, David.
That got decapitated. It's a new one, little growing though.
Things were happening. So I think
that's so good that it broke here and not here.
The Vita light bulb went like. He actually feels really bad whenever he sees it, so that's why it's like out of the way. Because he's like, I'm so sorry. Well, so just know that this is where I'm sitting.
Okay, you're sitting here.
I'm sitting here.
You're right next to this little...
so I have...
Is this an orchid?
That is an orchid from... Nice. Well, I can't pronounce it. So there should be a game where we take shots and we just try to pronounce it. Can you try?
Look at it. That's Bryobium hyacinthoides. That's my middle name, Hyacinth, right there.
Really?
It must have It must either have a smell like a hyacinth.
Yes.
Or it might have a flower that's similar to a hyacinth.
This one is from Maui in Hawaii. Yeah. There's a supplier that I get a lot of my plants from there, and they ship them here.
Gorgeous structure.
I'm going through a phase, orchid phase. So I'm in the nursery. I put all of the plants together. And I was like, oh, I would love these. And he's like, oh my God, great choices. And this is a guy who actually used to live in New York, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
They used to live in Bed-Stuy. So we actually were talking about like life in New York right now. And he's like, how do you have plants? And I'm like, I have 8 million humidifiers and my boyfriend is good at watering. Like, you know what I mean?
But I don't pay him $10 anymore like he used to get paid.
He just gets love. He just gets love. So I actually had all of these orchids like in this corner.
Yeah.
And then this was like near it, and he was like, great choice. And I was like,
oh, that's not the one I really wanted.
And I just was like, I had just made such a connection with him.
Yeah.
And he was like talking about it for like a very long time. And I could not say no. And I was like, David is literally going to kill me when he sees how giant of a behemoth this is. Where is it going to go?
Yeah.
I actually really love it now. Like, I love it and I'm excited.
And it hasn't flowered for you yet.
We just got back from Hawaii like a month ago. Yeah. So I haven't had it for more than that.
I wonder if hyacinthioides comes from the fact that it's going to have a really redolent flower, because I love hyacinth smells.
So hyacinths are the best. Yeah. You know what? I can propagate it and give you some because it's huge. Yeah. And then because if it's also insurance, so if I kill it, you don't pay. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Tell me what this smells to you.
Okay.
And that's
don't tell me either, because it like ruins it, you know.
It's very faint, but
oh my God, I don't even have a sniffer now.
Can you smell it?
No, I can't. I smell absolutely nothing. Let me go in another room. Maybe
it's okay. David smelled it and he said he smelled nothing, and then I smelled it and I was like, excuse you.
Oh wait, hold on a second.
You go.
I'm going in deep.
Let's get in there. We're sniffing.
I can't smell anything.
Really?
Dude, are you sure it doesn't smell more at night?
It might. You're right.
Because it's white, and oftentimes it's something that pollinates it at night. I have to come back at like midnight.
You have to come back at midnight. If you want me to tell you, I can, or you can come back at midnight.
Yeah. I know, I'm not going to come back at midnight, but you can tell me.
It smells like a jasmine.
Okay.
So it's like
I'm guaranteeing you at night or in the morning.
Yeah.
David, when did you smell it? You couldn't smell it. Was it during the day? That orchid.
Oh, yeah. I remember, so it was like right after, there were like a whole bunch of orchids there, right? And it was like...
we were buying orchid space off the smell, yes.
Did you ever talk about that place? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, cactus.
Yeah, but there was one that was like super strong. It was like
a coconut that my friend Christian got.
It's like the kind that you get like when you're spreading it on and you're like...
I was like, if he doesn't get it, I'm going to get it. But he got it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But then you're like, ooh, smell this one. And to me, it was like after that one, it was just like...
Oh, you probably needed some coffee grounds just to like clear your nostrils out. Yeah,
totally.
But it was like, I couldn't put my finger on it at the moment, but I was like, oh, it's like something kind of like basic and herbal or something.
Yeah.
Rude.
Basic and floral.
Like like more like floral.
Yeah.
Fruity.
Yeah. I guarantee you, though, it's probably something that you smell it more at night or in the morning. I'm just saying that maybe my sniffer is broken either.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that. Vacuum clean. We made some work for you.
Yeah.
Hoya sprinkled.
Yeah, there you go. But it's like literally, I looked at it and I was like, that's too clean. Is she gonna think I actually like plants? Because like it's not.
I know that everybody preps their house before we come. Come on.
Oh, you mean I don't usually have all of these lovely things in this way?
You're like, wait, I really work here? No.
Yeah. So I look this way because
you probably have a bad back. You're like this.
If I look this way, I'm just like, oh shit, and then I like just start doing stuff. So I actually have to look at the wall. If I'm like on a call,
I see.
I look at the wall if I have to focus. If it's a call where I'm like, I'm just a stakeholder, I'm just, listening, and I'm just like literally walking around propagating stuff.
Sandra, Joey, and I literally talked about this the other day because Sandra and Joey like to be facing a wall when they work, and I'm like, give me birds, give me green.
Yeah. But it's so distracting.
Yeah.
And like,
that's what I love about it. I need to get up from my seat
seat
sometimes. I need to be distracted so I could still have 20/20 vision,
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
So I work here sometimes when I'm feeling like doing stuff. I work out in the living room.
Yeah.
And then literally everybody has the same West Elm like pop-up table, but I sit there and
I don't have it. What is it?
Wait,
Let
really?
me see it. Yeah. Wait, she's like, wait, really?
You don't have it?
No.
There's stuff, I don't know what is going to be in there when we open it, but it just like literally opens up.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So I
almost had to like FOMO Fear of missing out on furniture.
So my computer,
FOMO.
my computer is here, and then my mini plant tarp is here.
Ah, from
And
Phoebe.
then-
Compliments of Phoebe.
Yeah, so I like have that, and then I have this, and I'm just like.
That's pretty
and then-
clever. That's neat.
Oh my god, you're so cute. I just look at your little spike. So that is the home. Oh, we
Amazing.
made it full circle to the room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now everybody's gonna be like, wait, what's that plant in the back that was second to the right?
I
On the
think
second shelf down from this one. Thank you so much. This is fantastic.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, and you did such a phenomenal job. You moved in nicely, for 3 to 4 months actually in here, you moved in nicely and the plants have already seemed to take up residence as well.
Thanks for watching the latest Houseplant home tour. If you like these kinds of videos, give it a thumbs up and let us know in the comments below. And if you find yourself coming back to this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, then consider subscribing and helping the channel grow. It helps us keep on producing high-quality botanical content here on the tube. In the meantime, you could check out our suite of online houseplant courses from Houseplant Basics all the way to the Houseplant Masterclass, which can be found on homesteadbrooklyn.com. See you in the next video.